Hey, what's up, guys? This is Sleet. Welcome back to another video. And despite being a City fan, today I want to talk about Manchester United. So today was their Europa League game against Copenhagen, and United did squeak through, and they're in I think the semifinals now of the Europa League. Maybe the quarterfinals. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's the semifinals. Standout performer today was definitely the goalie from Copenhagen. I think the goalie Johnsson had 13 saves for Copenhagen, which is ridiculous. But I think, while some of them were very good saves, the one that really sticks out in my mind is the one he made with his foot after there was a little bounce around in the box. I think what this game highlighted was United's need for a clinical striker, or maybe just somebody in their front line being a little more clinical. In particular, I thought Martial was a big problem. Safe to say he had a ridiculous number of chances that he should have put away. He was very good dribbling. I thought his movement was very good. To get so many chances shows a decent amount of intelligence, and it also shows that he's very determined and he's always going to be working to make something happen. But for whatever reason, Solskjaer, he's playing his front three in the wrong positions. Personally, if you have a two-footed finisher, somebody like Greenwood, I think Solskjaer has said himself that Greenwood is the best finisher at the club. Multiple players have come out and said that Greenwood is very incredible at finishing, and that's his standout attribute. I think you shouldn't have him then pushed out to the right and play Martial through the middle. I know all three of them kind of move around with Rashford as well, but I think if they had more set starting positions, some of those chances that fell to Martial, Greenwood definitely would have put away. I think he hit the post, Rashford hit the post, and some of the finishing was just unlucky today, but it really highlights that they need somebody, I think, a right winger, so you could then move Greenwood into the middle and have Rashford off the left and then another top player on the right. Personally, I think Martial could play on the left or the right, and I think he's a better winger than he is a striker. But for whatever reason, he's decided he wants to play in the middle, and the coaches have decided that that's where he should play. And I think that they're missing out because of that. And I think it's somewhat ironic that today is the day where that issue was highlighted so clearly for United, their need of a finisher or their need for somebody else in that forward line so that they could move Greenwood into that central position. Because in the other leg, Lukaku scored, and that's somebody they let go, a presence in the middle who can score goals. I think personally, Lukaku's having his best year in terms of scoring, and I think he is the first person to score 30 goals in a season for Inter since Eto'o. And he also matched something with R9, which I'm not 100% sure what it was, but I remember seeing that recently. If Lukaku doing so well wasn't enough to annoy United fans when it's so clear that they need another person in their front line, I think the news this morning that broke about Sancho not being transferred to United, or that he's going to stay at Dortmund. I think it was either Dortmund's head of transfers or from their president. I think it was their head of transfers though, about how they're going to keep Sancho until next year. As much as I would love to see that happen, and I don't want United to sign Sancho because I think he's a top player, and I think he has the potential to be the best player in the world, there is something to be said about dragging a transfer on for so long when you are one of the biggest clubs in the world, at least top 3 biggest clubs in the world, and you're also one of the richest clubs in the world. To not get a transfer done when all of your fans are expecting it to happen, they're already gloating on social media about that they're going to have this front line, this incredible front line, and so many options next season. For that to not go through, I just can't see how Woodward looks good from doing that. And to save face, I think United at this point really need to sign Sancho, and if not Sancho, somebody else at a top level. Looking at the United Copenhagen game today, overall, I think what it showed was that United do have a lot of quality in their team. They kept consistently creating chances even though they weren't finishing them, and I think Pogba and Fernandes work very well together as a duo, and in terms of getting the ball to move in the defense, the attack quicker, they're very good in the transition. And the pace in that front line can cause issues for any team. I think that they lack depth, and I think they also need maybe a couple of signings in their defense. But if they did make those changes, I could see United really becoming a challenger in the coming seasons, both the Premier League, and I could see them doing even better in the Champions League than they have in recent years. The way I see it is that they're very similar to a team like Chelsea. I see that they have a very strong midfield and front line. Rashford, Greenwood, and then if they did sign Sancho, is an insanely strong front line, and they could also be playing together for years, and they're all English. I could see, with those three, and then Pogba and Fernandes in behind creating chances, a lot of goals being scored. But my issue with United comes not holding midfield role. I think Matic was at one time one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, and I think right now he can pull out a good performance every now and then, but overall he's not as consistent as he used to be, and you can't expect him to be at his age. So they're going to need to sign somebody there. On top of that, I think Luke Williams is like a very good talent at left back, but I think they need a more established first choice. I think Shaw is very average, and I can't see him being in like a title challenging side. After spending 80 million on Maguire, he's kind of like a locked-in player. I think they need somebody next to him to partner. I think Lindelof is okay as a backup. I think Bailly is also okay as a backup. I think he was actually fairly good today, but since his injury a couple of years ago, he hasn't quite been the same player he was. At right back, Wan-Bissaka I think is very good right back. He's one of the best right backs in the world defensively. I like how much he enjoys defending as opposed to a lot of other modern fullbacks. Being a fullback myself, it's nice to see somebody that likes to get back and put in a crunching tackle or to win the ball back, and he like really takes pride in doing that. Goalkeeper could also be an issue. De Gea is like shown several times in the past couple of years that he seems to be done at the top level of goalkeeping. They could bring in Dean Henderson. They have him. He can come and start, and I think he could really press De Gea next year, and he could potentially even start over him on like multiple occasions. Personally, I think he's much better at shot stopping, and I don't think that like in terms of distribution, I don't think either of them are too great, but that's not really United's game, so I don't think that matters too much. And for a team like United to have so much money and resources behind them, I'm surprised that they don't reinforce better and they don't scout better than they do. They make a lot of signings that don't work, or they sign players sometimes just for their name rather than somebody that will really fit their team. And I think they could change that under Solskjaer. It seems like if they're going to go for Sancho, that's a move in the right direction. And after that, they would need somebody, maybe a Declan Rice, somebody like that they've been linked to at holding mid, and then they need another center back, maybe a left back. They don't have to do all of these signings this summer. I could see them potentially just working towards this title challenging team in the next couple of years, but what it shows is ambition, and it's different than a team like Arsenal where they're signing somebody like Willian, who I think is like finished and past his best. And if he isn't past his best, he's at the very least too old to really stay in their team for the next couple of years. I want to finish this video off today just saying how crazy it is to be a City fan in this time. When I was growing up, I never would have thought that I'd see a week where City are in the Champions League, defeating Real Madrid for the second time in a season, and then a couple of days later I get to watch United barely scrape through against a team like Copenhagen. It almost doesn't sound right in my head, but that's where we are right now, and I'm really happy about it. Anyways, I don't think this video will be too long today. I just had some thoughts after watching the game, and I wasn't originally planning to make a video about this, but I thought that United were impressive in some aspects, but they also showed that a lot of work needs to be done for them to really challenge next year for the title potentially, or in the coming years for the title. If you made it this far, I want to thank you for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe. Please leave a comment. I'm really interested in starting discussions more in these channels and maybe making videos based on recommendations or suggestions that people have in the comments. Let me know what you think about the Man United versus Copenhagen match today, and what you think about where United will be in the future. Thank you for watching all the way through if you did. It means a lot, and I'll see you later.